Well, hello again. Continuing on in the Gospel of Matthew, and again, a huge misuse of text out of the Old Testament is in Matthew chapter 4, verse 14. That it might be fulfilled which was spoken by Isaiah the prophet, saying, the land of Zebulun, the land of Naphtali, by way of the sea beyond Jordan, Galilee of the Gentiles. This is the first half that he chooses to quote here. It's actually only part of the original verse, and it's absolute foolishness, because all it's doing is saying that in the previous verses, after Jesus had heard that John the Baptist was cast into prison, that he went into Galilee, and he came and he dwelt in Capernaum, which is upon the seacoast in the borders of Zebulun and Naphtali. And again, by just going two places, he's claiming that Jesus fulfilled a prophecy. Well, it wasn't a prophecy to begin with. It was merely a statement of fact by Isaiah. This is in chapter 9, verses 1 and 2 of Isaiah. And this again is talking about this same warfare, that the invasion that was taking place by Israel and Syria when they had plans on coming down against Judah, that they were invaded by Assyria. And let me read the verses to you. Isaiah 9, 1 and 2. Nevertheless, the dimness shall not be such as was in her vexation, when at the first he lately afflicted the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali, and afterwards did more grievously afflict her by the way of the sea, beyond Jordan, in Galilee of the nations. So you see, they left out this part of vexation and being lightly afflicted. There was warfare going on in the land, but they were saved from this warfare. The people walked in darkness. Matthew chooses to say that they sat in darkness in chapter 4, verse 16, that the people sat there, but no, the original verse said that they walked in darkness. The people that walked in darkness have seen a great light. They that dwell in the land of the shadow of death, upon them the light shined. This again was reference to their being redeemed by God, by a swift end to this war that they had feared from the northern tribe of Israel. And again, simply because Jesus had gone near two of these towns that happen to be mentioned by Isaiah, he again tries to tell you that this was the fulfillment, a long-awaited fulfillment by an Old Testament prophecy, by Jesus. And it was no prophecy at all. It was simply a statement of fact. You know, it's just like if I took a ride in my car through New York City and I happened to drive past the area where the Twin Towers used to be. Somehow I'm fulfilling a prophecy when in fact all we're talking about is a news clip of what happened on 9/11 in the year 2001. I'm not fulfilling anything. I'm simply driving by the city of New York. And that's exactly what Matthew has done here. And even quoting, like I say, the scripture, he only quoted the second half of the scripture. So he left the intended meaning completely out and just left the directions there. I went down Route 95 onto Route 83 or some such thing like that. Route 66 and on to Route 44. And it is not a prophecy saying that Jesus was going to go there. But this is what Matthew tries to make it sound like. And again, even though the original passage said that the people that he was talking about walked in darkness, dwelled in the land, Matthew just simply chose to say that they sat in darkness, and they sat in the region. And you will notice too that in the following verse that Jesus did not even begin preaching until after this passage that describes where he was. And yet he's saying that people that sat in darkness, they saw a great light. People that sat in the region and the shadow of death, light is sprung up. Well, the point of Matthew is that when Isaiah was writing, that light had already shone. Isaiah was talking about something that happened a good 800 years prior to the time Jesus walked the area. It again was not a prophecy that Jesus had to fulfill. It is just absolute foolishness. We'll pick up with this again in our next video and show you again how the writer of Matthew again has chosen yet more verses to claim fulfillment of prophecies by Jesus, fulfillment of prophecies that were not prophecies to begin with and had nothing to do with the Messiah. Nothing. It was never intended to be that. So you can see the Christian faith is simply not based on truth. It's not even based on a proper interpretation of the Old Testament scriptures.